Hey movie lovers, welcome to another fantastic episode of iTalk Movies. My name is Alikona Bradford, and today I have the directors and one of the stars of a brand new sci-fi movie coming out. You're definitely gonna have your suits knocked off into space, if you know what I mean. It's called One Under the Sun, and we're gonna get to know Vincent Tran Riyaana Hartley and Michael Keeley coming up next.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's iTalk Movies.
Well, if there's one thing I can definitely say about this panel is they have a lot of great stuff to say that goes beyond this conversation today. So later on, you can leave your comments below or join the hashtag PCN, Popcorn Talk Network, One Under the Sun, to ask any questions that you have. But in the meantime, let's get to know our panel, starting over to my left.
Hi, I'm Vincent Tran. I'm one of the directors of One Under the Sun.
Hello, this is Riyaana Hartley, the co-director of One Under the Sun.
I'm Michael Keeley. I'm one of the actors in the movie. I play Agent Wyatt Roberts.
All right, so one of the first things I wanted to get into is the theme of this movie, because I know it's very important for you guys, cohesiveness, humanity, and that's a big message in this movie. How did you guys exude that in the movie, and why is that important for y'all?
Well, it all began when, well, first of all, I wanted to make a movie, all right? And I was just like, I gotta come up with some ideas and whatever, so many times at a cafe, I kept thinking, I'm like, I can't generate anything, like, what's coming out? Like, it's just not coming out naturally. So I wanted to see what was really close to my heart, and one of the things was, what was the cause of war? Global warfare. And it's always been troubling me because, you know, I believe that people that come to this country come with a history. And my history was, I came from war. You know, my parents went through the Vietnam War. And so I wanted to understand the human intellect of all that. So I started doing some research and going out there in the world, and I couldn't really find anything unless, you know, I'd watch a generic action movie, but that wasn't really doing it for me. So for some reason, there was this one documentary that I saw, and I think it was called it was like something particle, right? It was a documentary.
The God Particle.
The God Particle. And it was about the Higgs boson. And the Higgs boson was this particle that was discovered recently. I think it was in like 2013. And the discovery of the Higgs boson was blasted out in the media, and they called it the God particle. And I was like really interested in knowing what this was. So I decided to go to UCLA, and I went to go interview this professor. His name is David Klein. Really amazing guy. And the first time I met him, he was like over enthusiastic. I loved him. His spirit was high. And I forgot to press record. I'm like, hold on, let's record this so I can take this back home and write a script about it. But later on, he kept telling me like how amazing it was that this discovery back in Geneva, Switzerland, all these scientists developed this huge machine, this large hadron collider. And when they had these two particles collide at really high speeds, they somehow proved that almost everything in the universe was made from this single element. And it was the particle. And so he told me after I had left the office, he pulled my arm and he said, hey, I need to tell you something. It's really important that you follow up on this because no one really is. And if you prove this, if you bring this to the people, it'll make us question why we have war. And so I left with it. I talked to Riyaana. I think we were in Mammoth Lakes or something on vacation. And I got this phone call, or at least a text message, and it was from David Klein's daughter. And she had texted me saying, hey, are you Vincent Tran? I'm like, yes, that is me. It's a pleasure to meet you. She said, I need to tell you something. My dad actually just passed away. And so it was interesting how that just kind of slammed on me while we were in this trip. And I took some time to like sink that in. And listening to his last words, I'm like, that's just a message. I got to do something about it. So when I created the story, I had this protagonist, Kathryn Voss, who I've always imagined to be a very powerful woman in my life. And it's kind of a reflection of how I perceive all women in my life, to be intellectual, to be heroic, and to be not so fearful, and also to embrace that they're not perfect all the time. And
you were right on up until you got perfect all the time. I'm sorry.
Then I was just,
they lost me right there.
Throw him out of there. But after
It goes both ways.
after I did that, I collaborated with Riyaana, and we wanted to see how far we could take this character. And I think we just went from there, and we just banged ideas, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think in the very beginning, there was a lot of synchronicity and reinforcement of the elements of the story that were coming together. And so as the the vision sort of progressed. There's this like real life parallel of what's happening in our world and how it needs to be a part of this story, because ultimately this man's message was, if people understood the science of this and if they could experience it as a story, that would be a very profound shift, because clearly, the press release went out and the world has not changed.
Now, really quick, I'm going to cut you off, though, because you said the science of this. Can you delve into what this is for the rest of us who are not really aware?
Oh, okay. So basically, there was never a proven model for mass. Like, we knew that the universe had some mass, but it was a theory. So they had to spend a lot of money to prove that. It's amazing how much money they spent. But when they realized that these two particles did collide, that standard model was proven. And now it's said that, planets, everything, the Big Bang was created from this particle. Even the particle exists within all of us, actually. Every single human being, no matter what race, no matter what religion, no matter what country you represent, the particle is inside all of us. And that was the science. And it's amazing how simple we could say it, but the scientists went through years going through all this. And that's why I really am inspired by that, because it's such a simple idea, but that's how much we've blown it out of proportion. Easy to say we have the particle inside of us, but we don't use that to define ourselves. We rather use something a lot bigger, like I represent this, and I'm going to fight for this cause, and you and me are different now,
Yeah.
So.
And we're all one, is basically the message.
Yeah.
If it all started with the one particle, and boom, it's everywhere.
Exactly.
It's everywhere.
Exactly. And I think that, there's sort of this intersection of where we're at right now with where, a lot of people are coming to this information from different places, whether it's like the quantum physics sides of things or a spiritual awakening, or just people who are just awakening to the whatever interpretation of, what we're seeing, that's not it. And an understanding of something bigger and greater. And so, all of this gets baked into the story.
Let's talk about the story a little bit, too, just so people at home can get a little taste so they're intrigued and they want to go and they watch it. So what is the storyline? We obviously are following Kathryn Voss. It's probably far more interesting if you guys tell the story, because,
Oh, my God.
I'm not technically, I'm not in it, so...
Well,
for 2 seconds,
she is in it.
like 2 seconds.
No, she hasn't seen it just yet. Okay, so...
I did see it. You sent me the screener.
Oh, yeah, you did see the whole thing.
It doesn't even look like me.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. She got it.
All I saw was this big nose and a scarf, and I was like, whoa, that's me.
That's right.
Anyways, I digress. I'd rather hear you guys tell the story behind. We obviously have this wonderful, strong female lead who's an astronaut that goes far, far away to Mars. I'm going to let you take it from there.
Yeah. Okay, well, here's something that we've never shared with anyone really before publicly, is that in the very beginning, part of this inspiration was a character that was, in essence, a female prophet. And that can be interpreted so many different ways. There's the old story, of what a prophet is. And then there's, the old story worked for the last millennia. And we, as humankind, are changing. So we need a different story that's in a different structure. And,
It's like a meta-narrative.
It is.
A collective journey. But overall, the story, it's this woman named Kathryn Voss, right? She's an astronaut. She survives this disastrous space shuttle mission. And it was to go to Mars to help humanity survive and flourish. But unfortunately, during their return, because of the disastrous incident, something happens. She's found. She's unharmed. We don't know why. Agent Wyatt Roberts over here is one of the people that tries to grab and find these answers out of this woman. And basically, the whole point of the story is not only is she trying to go out there to help humanity, but she's also trying to reunite with her terminally ill daughter, because she's suffering from a type of cancer. And she's battling these conflictions to either fight for humanity or fight for herself and her own needs.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like when people watch this movie, even myself, as I'm not a mother, but a mother watching this movie, you have this woman who has a daughter who is given tentatively 3 years to live,
right,
but also the other option of going to Mars for 3 years and doing this amazing thing.
Yeah.
And she ends up choosing to go to Mars. So how does she justify that as being the decision to make? While most mothers would be like, I have to stay with my child.
Yeah, tough decision to make.
Yeah, that actually has to do a lot with the husband. I feel like your other half is going to be there to help provide that answer for you. And I think you can, you can relate to that, Michael. Like when you're in a relationship, sometimes having someone to support you, even when you're down, is the most important part. But for
Absolutely.
Gene Farber, who is John Voss, the husband of Kathryn Voss, played by Pooja Batra, he puts a bigger picture, and that's what I love about it. Is that Pooja, Kathryn Voss, is the powerful protagonist. But Gene is not portrayed as the lead guy, where he's like the hero throughout the whole story. He's actually okay with being submissive. He's okay with putting his ego behind him and allowing his woman to take over the family mantle and be like, you know what, you have a bigger meaning. You're serving a bigger purpose.
Yeah, it's a different kind of family altogether, and I think it's again representative of what is coming through in that Pooja is stepping up, Kathryn is stepping up as a leader, and that's really the call for women these days, is to step into their role as leaders in every capacity of their life, and she's doing that. And I think there's something to be said too about the daughter's role in it, because she has a maturity that we see in children these days as well, where the daughter understands the importance of the mission and supports the mom. And then, like you said, the husband has definitely more of this sort of divine masculine quality, as opposed to the traditional, like, I'm just going to kick your butt and let me rescue the lady.
Well, he definitely steps up and takes care of the family. I mean, there's and supports Kathryn in it totally, and takes care of Amelia, the daughter, who is suffering, with her illness, and that takes a lot of strength and a lot of love and compassion and caring.
Absolutely.
So that they're an awesome team. Yeah.
But to every protagonist, there's always an antagonist.
And speaking of their team, there's somebody who's not a team player, and he's sitting right over here. I want to talk a little bit about your character a bit too, as far as what his motivation is in his particular role.
Well, okay, yeah, he's antagonist. He's the bad guy. But first and foremost, one of the things that people that are in those positions or those types of people don't really see themselves as those people. So he has a mission. And he feels his mission is noble as well. And he is the.
But what is his mission? Like, what does he want?
Well, he works under Director Bo.
Oh yeah.
And so he is the acolyte of Bo. And Bo unfortunately has a twisted outlook. But Roberts has bought into it, and he believes in it, as well as a lot of other people believe in it too. So there's a support, there's a structure here. So his motivation is to keep the world, the status quo, the way they see it. It's not to, it doesn't want to see things progress and move out and move away from Earth. They do not feel that is man's mission. So he is supporting that, and he has to follow through and do everything he can to fulfill that mission.
Gotcha. Well, we actually have a clip of you in action, so if I can have my engineer prep that clip and post it, that would be fantastic. And it's ready to go. Let's take a look.
Because we have records of transmissions your wife sent to your daughter that mention something strange and wonderful going on. Do you have any idea what that meant?
Strange and wonderful? You mean a dreams?
Dreams? What dreams?
Kat told Amelia she was having these dreams. That she was swimming in a river of stars and galaxies.
Is that code?
Code? You gotta be kidding me. You think my wife was sending messages in code? What's going on here? How come no one will tell me what happened to the Samsara? There's that one special report and then nothing.
Special report? I don't know what you're talking about.
You're lying. And you have been lying all along.
I have.
Yeah, you, the government, for all I know, the damn Illuminati. Someone has a vested interest in keeping the truth from us.
If you're looking to technology to save you, John, you're looking in the wrong direction.
Why are Chinese suddenly rattling sabers? Why have our diplomats been expelled from Beijing? Why are pundits suddenly rethinking the whole space program?
Because it's an obscene waste of money when people right here on Earth are going hungry. And children are dying of cancer.
Well, get it?
Dang.
First of all, that was a low blow. Bringing cancer into the conversation when his daughter was sick.
I think we got to leave the room. He's very violent.
I just noticed how you kind of savor that moment and kind of just stood over him like that famous boxing shot.
Like, try to get up. Try to get up. No.
I dare you. No.
So one of the things you're trying to uncover too, and what basically happens, and you guys can stop me because I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about, is that Kathryn comes back with these special powers. Can we delve into what those are? No, okay.
No, actually, I think we can give a little bit. With her.
And the constant thing that you guys are both very, very adamant about with your production company is diversity and equality. Can you tell our fans at home why that is so important to you guys in the film industry?
Well, I mean, first of all, what a privilege, right, to call this our work. And I think, it kills me to say it because you always think of Spider-Man, but with power comes responsibility. Well, in my mind, it's like with this privilege comes a responsibility, especially when you have a voice and a platform and an opportunity to work with other people and collaborate. And that, expression should be really intentional. And so for us, with our company, Love Entertainment, it's an opportunity to have fun, but also be meaningful and employ other people who want to make a difference and be the change. And again, have a lot of fun. And also you learn that when you follow your heart with a lot of these choices and you do things that are, that contribute, there's a lot of reward that just comes along with that and it shows up, as incredible talent, as supporting friends, as community, as investors, as interest. And so people pay attention when you're doing something that has some heart behind it. So also with this film, the idea of, who are we? Where are we? We're actually going to Mars. We'll be there in a few years. That's not science fiction. That's real and happening, And what does that really look like? Well, it looks like an international effort because that's the reality of it. Like, it's not just happening here, and it's time to really show, what's really happening. And so we got to cast people that reflected different countries of origin and gender, ethnicity, religious background, it doesn't matter. And that was really cool. And people notice.
Plus, we were trying to reflect not just only the characters that we represent, but also how we work behind the cameras.
Yeah, your crew is always diverse.
Yeah, and also we want to treat everybody, even from background to PAs, even though they get it the worst, we try to treat them equally. Like, I've been there. I've been an actor. I've been in a background. I've been a PA. And I know what it feels like when you're being treated like, just that little roach that's just crawling on the floor. That happens to be getting your coffee. But we wanted to somehow inspire that love. If you provide love, if you treat people with that equality, then they're going to give you something back too. And it's amazing how much, if you just care for just 1 second, how much that just plays back on you in a huge way. And that's what we want to do. We want to hopefully transform the industry, not to say that we're the only ones, but at least to be a part of that world where we start to care about the content, we care about the people, and we care about the people that are making the content. Boom, you got a movie. And it will change the world. And that love is going to send a ripple effect throughout everywhere. Yeah.
Now, Michael, what was your experience working with this team of individuals?
You got punched in the eye.
I mean...
No, that clip...
We showed him some good love.
That clip that we just saw, the punching scene, you should talk about it.
This is your moment.
Well, first off, to address the question, it was a great pleasure. Vincent and Riyaana, a great team, above and beyond their professionalism. I mean, just as human beings. He was referring to a little while ago, basically the energy on set and the vibe on set was very, very good.
And this is coming from someone, guys, who's been on different TV shows and been on different indie film sets and stuff like that. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, it was a great level of respect amongst everybody. So that was a great thing.
Actor, that's talent, you know?
Yeah.
Listen, there's always fun stories that happen on sets, but I think with anything, whether it's an indie, whether it's a micro budget, or even a big production, there's always curveballs that are thrown. So outside of getting punched in the face, were there any other random hurdles or challenges that came your way? And if there were, how'd you get past them?
As soon as you started saying that, I just flashed back to
this one, and this one.
There's every day.
Yeah.
Flashback to we were on the back lot and it was outdoors and there's a street adjacent, but it was a Sunday afternoon.
Oh my gosh.
And it's gorgeous and we're filming and everyone is in it because Karen, who plays this woman who has a bit of a...
She's an oracle.
An oracle. She's got this quality to her and she just draws in everybody on set and we're just... And then I hear a leaf blower.
Oh, and it was just like, you can hear that, right? Yeah, you can hear that.
And so everyone turns, and I'm already like across the street, like power walking over there.
It wasn't just across the street, it was like half a mile away.
Yeah.
I could not see her. She was like a little dot.
Negotiating with the guy with the leaf blower. And it was...
Yeah, they show up, they see a movie set, it's like, oh, how can I make a little extra change here? Or the guy in the house across the street cranks a stereo, or brings his dog out.
So you know what's crazy? Somebody was telling me once they were shooting a film, and some guy walked out of his house and he was like, that's my Ivy in the background. And the guy was like, dude, like your Ivy's not even in the shot. No, the Ivy's, how much are you gonna pay me? My Ivy is in your
That's
your
hilarious.
Shot. Are you kidding me?
You didn't never know.
Saboteurs.
Insane. So we had the leaf blower. Was there anything else that really stuck out to you that you're like, oh my God? Or even maybe in general, like in movie making in general.
Listen, I was talking about treating extras like equals, but there was a particular extra that was like just too much for me. And it's amazing, like I try to have so much compassion and understanding, but when they ask you a question, you give them the answer. That should be the end of the line, but they kept asking me like, hey, are you gonna get this angle of me? Are you gonna get my voice? Am I gonna be in the shot? I'm just like,
your background.
Like, I don't want to be a bad person, but I'm not gonna be in it. But that's that. I mean, like, it wasn't as succinct, but you know, I try to cater to extras as much as possible too, because again, they're trying to be actors, and I was there, and I totally understand. So at least I try to listen to them. But it's like the worst case scenario I've ever been in.
Oh, you're lucky.
Yeah.
You're lucky. I'm in the process of making something, literally everything that could go wrong goes wrong, and at this point I just laugh. I'm like, of course that happened. Of course.
Actually, I wanted to ask you something.
Yeah.
You're in the movie.
Yes.
I'm interviewing you now.
Oh, okay. Let's
so I
Go
want
ahead.
you to tell us, how was your experience playing
terrible, you
Amina
guys.
Labibi?
Oh my God, slave labor. It was hot. They didn't feed me. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was actually fantastic, and everything that you said is actually really consistent with my experience that I had, because I was just a small role, it wasn't anything of importance, but still treated equally as, are you okay? Is this that? Do you have to be somewhere? Let's get you out on time, And it's like, it's not about me, it's about y'all. But I had a fantastic time. Everybody was really, really lovely. So
You got a good screen time.
I know, it was not 2 seconds.
I wouldn't say small.
You were a character, and you rocked it.
Plus, I love you represent Al Jazeera. I love that.
You know what's crazy is, because I was thinking about, I'm like, guys, I'm Japanese.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Just blew my mind right there.
There was a Japanese journalist in that scene.
Yeah, I know. I was right behind her. And I'm like, okay, I'm the Japanese girl. I'm playing a totally different episode.
But the way you wear that scarf, no way.
You did it with the scarf. No, it's fantastic. You did great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, you guys.
I love that there was, we got to go there. We got to have like the international room full of reporters, right?
Yeah.
Representing the actual, and some fictitious, but like, representing the global media.
Yeah.
And that was a conscious choice. And it turned out to be so much fun. And even your character, when you were talking earlier, I was just thinking to myself, like, you, just as much as Kathryn, the lead, the astronaut, the woman who goes through this profound transformation, you too have that exact same thing parallel in your life. And you're so interesting, as this, the bad guy. But like you said, you know, you have your struggle with like your marching orders, and then you go through this transformation, and at the end, I mean, I don't know, I'm going to interview you now. What was that like for you? Because your character had to make a big shift.
You know, I just drank a couple beers in the back and then came out and shot the scene.
Well, that explains everything.
Yeah, well, sometimes, no, it's we all in our lives go through shifts and changes. Most of the time, it doesn't come voluntarily. Things happen, and then you are changed immeasurably for the rest of your life. And yeah, I don't think he didn't anticipate that happening. But when he came in and saw what was in front of him, yeah, that was a moment where he realized, you know, maybe I'm not right.
So wait.
Maybe I just need to like, and he allowed himself to take that leap. And in that moment, he was affected and changed.
I love that nobody knows what we're talking
That's
about.
what I was just going to say. No one has any clue what we're talking about at all.
If I didn't know and I was just looking at you and listening to this, I'd be like, I must see the scene.
Yeah.
And how lucky are we that we got to be in the room for that? Because, I mean, it's just, you know, to see someone really, like, owning their craft and, you know, witnessing it for yourself, that was awesome.
Beautiful.
Well, for our fans that are listening and for watching at home, we're obviously talking about a certain shift in character and a transformation. So do we see your character go from being a bad guy to being a believer in the cause of this film? Are you allowed to say?
You know, I think it's probably best to just let her lay there. There's
You have to watch.
There's a transformation.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. I know that you guys also have had One Under the Sun featured in a few different film festivals. Can you tell us which festivals they've been in and any recognition they've been getting? Wow.
Yeah, sure. So actually, the film happened, you know, kind of fast with a lot of grace. So this journey began last June.
Well, yeah, the development process,
Right.
that is correct.
Last June, and then by March, the project was wrapped. So
Of this year.
Right.
Yeah.
So we just, with the intention of going to Cannes, got everything ready and, you know, pulled our team together, and we had our market premiere at Marché du Film at Cannes Film Festival.
That's fantastic. That's amazing. That's a dream for a lot of filmmakers, so that's fantastic.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
And our producer, Sonny, who may be watching right now, he just came back from San Diego Comic-Con debuting One Under the Sun, which was pretty huge. And he showed the trailer to everybody. It was a huge turnout, 250 people. They loved it. I mean, I just heard this about an hour ago, so it's been fantastic. And we have a lot more to go. We have a long year ahead of us, and just excited.
Yeah, we've had the pleasure of meeting people who really align with the message of the film, like Maya, I'm blanking on her last name.
Maya Zuckerman.
Maya Zuckerman from Huffington Post, who wrote an article about the movie and, you know, just sort of the role that it plays in our real life today. And that's another thing about this amazing project. It's like it's not science. It is science fiction, yes, and you'll love it, and you'll love it for that reason. But it's real. We've gone to SpaceX in the last few weeks with some members of the cast and the crew. You know, just having that conversation of like, it's not even a blurred line. You know, and
That's real.
Yeah, let's bring the conversation to the big screen and to the cinema, and really make it a conversation, because it's a good one, and it's, you know, and it's fun, and we're doing amazing things as a human species as well. So all kinds of people can relate to this movie.
Even Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Stan Lee, apparently liked the film.
Amazing.
Yeah.
There's something actually you said earlier, Riyaana. I think that was you had said, as far as us internationally making efforts to go to Mars. And back in the day when we were first trying to go to the moon, and it was like this competition between us and Russia and who can get there first. It's definitely going to be interesting to see with the whole Mars thing. Like, yes, we've had cameras on there, but as far as taking the first steps, it'd be cool, and then going back to the oneness of humanity, if we all work together, and different countries were not so concerned about who can get there first and who can put their flag on there and this, that, and the third, but if we could actually all be like, hey, China, I'm China, and I have this technology, and I'm America, and I have this, and I'm Russia, and let's put all of our technology together, and let's all go, you know what I mean? Like, in real world, having that happen.
That does happen, and we need to talk about it. And there are people who are doing that, and we need to celebrate them. David Klein was one of those people. He worked with scientists from all over the world, and they discovered the God particle. That's you know, hey, if we can do that. So it is happening, and I encourage people to go, you know, look it up. And like follow those people on Instagram, because really cool scientists have Instagram accounts. That's where I get my news.
The news is not going to put that on blast.
No, I mean,
they rather concentrate on things that
thing.
separate us, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, and that's the thing is we don't hear about great things like that, especially like the younger generation. You see what's in front of you on the computer when you sign into Yahoo or when you are on Twitter, and if you're not following those people, that's your news. That's what you know. And with all these bad things happening in the world, we hear about a lot of that. And I know even for myself as just a person, sometimes you just want to shut it off because all you hear is negative stuff, and it just, you know. So to have stuff like that be promoted a little bit more, and people to be inspired.
There's just an overload of negative. Unfortunately, there's so many things negative that are going on, but life is filled with wonderful, positive things that are happening on a daily basis, every minute of every day around the world. And if people could learn to tap into that on a regular basis, on a daily basis, overall things will be better.
Absolutely.
Everybody's outlook will be better. There'll be much more hope and faith and
happiness
and improvement and life being good. And, you know, so it's
absolutely.
You know, when I was it seemed like when I was a kid. I'm dating myself.
Let's talk about it.
You know, there just wasn't as much negative reporting.
Wow.
And it's grown and grown and grown over a period. I've been around for a while, so I've seen some decades go by and how it's changed. And it drives ratings, and it drives and brings viewers to sit down in front of the tube.
Right.
Wow.
But there's still, and then there was along the way, there was always these reporters that there'd be a producer or somebody with the station say, you know, we need to have a positive story every day. And then people would do that. And to a degree, I'm sure that still goes on. But it just...
Right. I mean, there's positive news networks I've Googled, and they're fantastic. It's just that they may not get the funding that other news networks get because they're just not as popular.
Right.
You know, so it's like if we can bring those forward, and sure, it's great to know what's going on in the world, to be aware, but balancing it out with a little bit more goodness going on. But then, you know, and that's why we have this indie world too, with films that have great messages, because when you start getting into mainstream movies and you have all these upper executives who are like, ooh, we can't veer away from this story because this sells and we need to make money, instead of taking a risk and going for something unique and different. You know, so again, that's where indies, I think, are wonderful, because when you are either self-funded or you have, you know, your small group of investors who believe in your cause, it's a way to get a new message out there. You know?
You know, speaking about the investors, I love that our investors, and I bet on other films, that they support something like this and allow us to have control over the content. Because I can't imagine how many indie people that have the wrong investors and they tell them how to make the stories, and it just kind of like collapses everything.
Dilutes
and we're grateful for that, you know. And with that type of power comes great responsibility.
Oh boy.
It's so true, though.
We went to this amazing conversation at the Illuminate Film Festival in Sedona, Arizona, and what this woman was sharing, and I apologize, I forgot her name, but what she was sharing was, when you find people who care about what you care about, that's your access right there. You know, it doesn't have to be studio backing. It doesn't have to be just 3 people. If you can find a group of people who care enough, you know, they'll support your work. And this conversation happened to be in the documentary world, but I mean, that's how a lot of these incredible award-winning, you know, and profitable movies get made. And so, I don't know, I think people, maybe they don't think that's possible, and that's why there's not enough people trying that route, but I encourage you to try it.
You guys got to do it. You guys just got to do it.
You got to find your people.
Exactly. Exactly right. And I was going to say, that's another silver lining to you're right. It is a dialed up amount of negative news that we're getting. It's like it went from a trickle to, the dam broke. But what happens is when conversation comes from it, then at least, you can start to influence and inspire, right? And it's tragic, but I used the example of a few months ago, there was the child that fell into the gorilla enclosure, and they shot and killed the gorilla. And it caused this major uproar about, the child and the gorilla, and should he have been shot or not. But the gorilla, unfortunately, is now dead. But the fact is, now some people at least are reconsidering zoos. Like, wait a minute, should we actually, breed animals for lineage of captivity? And now some people are talking about like, okay, so maybe we can shift that paradigm and make it to more of a real sanctuary. So in a few decades from now, the idea of a SeaWorld or a zoo where they're just bred for entertainment could be ridiculous. And so we're talking about it, and we're learning about it. And I think it's just the action part, because there's so many people who want to keep you distracted and, in fear, and then you're not doing anything. So to your point, you got to go, find the people, and you've got to make sure that you're thinking and feeling good so that you can do something, whether it's have a productive conversation or like pick up a camera and
make a movie.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think also too the big takeaway from this for all of our viewers who are listening and for watching is if you do have a great idea and you love movies, because I know people that just love movies to bits, and it's like inside, I guarantee you have a story to tell, so why not? It's so easy to pick up nowadays. Phones have such amazing quality. You can make a short, and that can turn into something bigger.
An award-winning film, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's happened.
There are film festivals that are strictly only iPhones. So you at home, if you love movies, by all means, change the world with your voice.
We may investigate.
Amen.
Change the world.
Yeah. On that note, let's actually, if we can get your trailer queued up, I'd love to close it out with your trailer so people can get a peek at what we've been talking about this whole time.
Yeah, definitely.
Woohoo! Trailer! Yay! That's just me yang to buy time. Okay, let's go.
I work for the Director of National Intelligence. What's the last thing you remember?
I was in my daughter's room and I was looking at the stars. I have a daughter.
Doctor said that we should appreciate the time we have with her.
Amelia!
I need to see my husband and my little girl.
And you will. Just as soon as we know it's safe.
Is the door locked to keep me safe?
No, Dr. Voss. It's locked to keep us safe.
Oh my God.
What did I see? What did I see that caused all this?
What's going on here? Someone has a vested interest in keeping the truth from us.
They just don't want us to know.
You're saying she's not human?
Not anymore. What if she's not crazy? What if we're the crazy ones?
You've been lying to me! You're never gonna let me see my family again!
It's easy to give up, to fall into despair. It is only when we endure do we find it in ourselves to achieve greatness. It's too hard.
When has anything ever been too hard for you?
All right, guys, so you got your first peek, maybe your first peek at the trailer today, and we appreciate you joining us. In the meantime, why don't you let everybody know where they can find out more information on the movie?
Yeah, you guys can find out everything actually on oneunderthesunmovie.com. That's where we post all our videos, press, screenings, everything that you can find out about the film. Any updates on that, we can post it on YouTube. But yeah, anything you want, just find it on there. You can find us on Facebook.
Awesome. And for you, sir, if someone wants to follow you, where can they find you?
I'm on Twitter, Michael Keeley _ this is my Twitter handle, address, whatever you call it.
His Twitter address.
You can find me on imdb.com. I'm on Facebook. Hey, say hello.
Alrighty, and I'm Alikona Bradford. You can find me at Boys and Beauty 01 on Twitter, and of course, I'm all over YouTube in the tub for Boys and Beauty with Alikona. So join me there. But in the meantime, thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you next time on iTalk Movies.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.